guys, it's Mrs. Spencer. I hope you're doing well and you're having fun at home with your families. I thought that I would read you a story each day this week from a book that I really like, and it's called Value Tales. A Value Tales Treasury, Stories for Growing Good People, and it's by Spencer Johnson. So each story is about a person from real life, but it's historical fiction because it's a made-up story about when they were kids. And the first one is going to be about Louis Pasteur. The second one is about Harriet Tubman. The third one is about Confucius. The fourth one is about Helen Keller. And the fifth one is about Will Rogers. It says, "Hello friend, you're about to read a new kind of story called an imaginography. Like a biography, an imaginography is about real people and events, but it is told in a more fun and imaginative way. You'll get to see how famous people grew into the good people they wanted to become by listening to their true voice, that special voice inside that gives us our best thoughts. Each person's true voice is unique, and yours is too, depending on how you use your imagination. I hope you like discovering the value of believing in yourself, helping, honesty, determination, and humor, and that you have fun growing up into the person you want to be. Your friend, Spencer." So our first story is about Louis Pasteur, and it's kind of fitting since it's about germs. See that? Let me hold it. All right. "Hello, my name is Believe. I may look like an ordinary bee, but don't be fooled. You can imagine me as the true voice of a real person named Louis Pasteur, who lived more than 100 years ago. I'm a fun way for you to see how Louis may have listened to himself, his true voice, that voice inside each of us that gives us our best thoughts. Now, when Louis was a little boy, long before he became famous, no one knew that invisible germs made people sick. One of the worst of these was called rabies. But as Louis grew up, he believed he could do what no one else thought he could. What do you think Louis Pasteur believed he could do? Well, to find out, let's begin our story together. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Louis Pasteur. As he played with his toy soldiers, he wondered what he might do when he grew up. Maybe, he thought, I might find a way to help people who are very sick. That's when I buzzed in his ear. Hello, my name is Believe. Believe in yourself, Louis, and you will be able to do more than you ever thought you could. And Louis listened to me. He worked hard all through school, learning everything he could about medicine. All the while, he repeated what he had heard from me, his true voice. I believe I can, he said as he studied. I believe I can find a cure for the invisible enemy called rabies. Louis finished school and became a scientist. Many years later, he began to work on finding a cure for rabies. But others made fun of him. How silly, they said. If an enemy is invisible, then no one can find it. Sometimes Louis became sad. Maybe I can't, he admitted to himself. But then he heard a voice the laughing children did not hear. Remember, I told him, when you believe in yourself, you can do more than you think. You can do more than you might think. Louis listened to himself, smiled, and went back to work. Years after people laughed and poked fun at Louis Pasteur, a little boy in a land far away was laughing and poking a stick at a poor sick dog. The boy's name was Joey. He wasn't really a cruel little boy. He just liked to tease, as some children sometimes do. But this was not a good idea. Unlike most dogs, who are friendly, this dog was so sick that white foam was coming from his mouth. Do you know what was wrong with this dog? The dog had rabies. If you were able to look inside the dog with a very powerful microscope, you would see the germs that were making him sick and mad. All of a sudden, the dog bit Joey, and the germs that were hiding in the dog traveled into the little boy. Joey became very sick, and his parents worried. Everyone knew that anyone who was bitten by a dog with rabies would most surely die. All Joey's mother could do was comfort him. But then one day, she heard some very exciting news. A scientist said he's found the invisible enemy that causes rabies, and maybe a way to cure it, she exclaimed. Joey's father hired a carriage with 4 fast horses. "Let's go," shouted the coachman. "We haven't a second to lose." "Hurry," said Joey's mother as the horses galloped. "Hurry," pleaded Joey's father. Even the trees seemed to whisper, "Hurry, hurry, faster, faster." Joey and his parents were on their way to see the man who may have found a cure for rabies. Can you guess who that man was? It was Louis Pasteur. Yes, the man who listened to me, his true voice, and came to believe in himself. He had done what he believed he could do. "Dr. Pasteur," Joey's mother asked, "can you help us?" I smiled as I heard Louis say, "I believe I can." Louis explained, "You see, what we have always thought to be an invisible enemy isn't really invisible at all. Rabies is caused by a tiny bug called a germ that is so small that it can only be seen with a microscope. Once I discovered the germ that causes rabies, I was able to find a way to fight that enemy. I've invented a new medicine." "Will it work?" groaned Joey, who was now very sick. "Do you think Louis' medicine will work?" "Think of my medicine as magical soldiers," said Louis, "with bright eyes that can see in the dark. They, like the germs, are too small for us to see with our eyes. But these tiny soldiers will travel down through a needle and go inside of you and find the enemy. Then they will do battle with the germs until they destroy them all." Despite his fear of needles, Joey listened to his true voice, his own best thoughts. It told him he needed to be very brave. It was the only way to get the medicine into his body to do battle with the germs. His parents were also very brave because they knew that no one had ever tried this before. "Will it be dangerous?" worried Joey's father. "Are you sure your medicine will work on a little boy?" "I believe it can," said Louis Pasteur, and he gave Joey his shot. Louis' magical soldiers, called the rabies vaccine, went to work and began to battle the rabies germs. By now there were millions of them inside Joey, and it was a very fierce battle indeed. But the medicine was more powerful than the germs, and they were soon outnumbered and destroyed. What do you think would have happened if Louis had not believed in himself? When the last of the enemy had been beaten, Joey felt better. So much better that he jumped out of bed and danced around in a circle with his mother and father, and of course Louis Pasteur. I danced too. I buzzed in his ear. "Louis, you really do believe in yourself." Louis smiled and was very happy. Are you happy when you believe in yourself? When he was much older, Louis was invited to England for a special meeting of important doctors. As Louis arrived, all of the doctors stood up and cheered. Louis said humbly, "The Prince of Wales must be arriving nearby." "No, Louis," I buzzed. "They're cheering for you and all of the wonderful discoveries you have made." Today, we all still benefit from Louis Pasteur's belief in himself. He discovered other germs and found more ways to make things, including the milk you drink every day, safer for people. That's right. He discovered a way to keep germs out of milk through a process that's called pasteurization. Can you find Pasteur's name on your milk container? As you can see, our story ends happily. Now you might want to think about yourself. Does believing in yourself make sense to you? What you may want to do in your own life, of course, may be different from what Louis did. Whatever you choose, you may discover that when you believe in yourself, in big and small ways, you can be happier too, just like our good friend, Louis Pasteur. Historical facts. Louis Pasteur, 1822 to 1895. Louis Pasteur was a real person, and the historical events in this value tale really happened. He was born in Dole, France in 1822, the son of a tanner in the province of Jura. You guys remember what tanning was? When we studied the Wampanoags? In 1847, he earned a doctorate at the École Normale Supérieure in Paris. As a chemist and later as a bacteriologist, Pasteur did more than any other person of his time to further medical progress. However, because he was not a medical doctor, many leading physicians of the 1800s jeered at his theories. He ignored their scorn because he believed so strongly that bacteria or germs did indeed exist and that they could cause disease. He continued to work in his own way, having faith in himself, and eventually made progress against silkworm disease, anthrax, and rabies. Pasteur's rabies vaccine was first administered to 9-year-old Joseph Meister on July 6, 1885, after the boy was bitten 14 times by a rabid dog. Pasteur used his vaccine at some personal risk since he was not a licensed physician and could have faced prosecution for treating the boy. Pasteur, the scientist, hesitated to give his untried rabies vaccine to the boy. However, when 2 physicians pointed out that the boy would surely die without the vaccine, and Pasteur might just have the answer, Pasteur went ahead with the treatment. It proved to be a spectacular success, with Joseph Meister avoiding the disease, and Pasteur was hailed as a hero. Meister later became a gatekeeper at the Pasteur Institute. He stayed there, loyal to Louis Pasteur for the rest of his life. Pasteur also invented a process to keep milk from spoiling. Originally, the process consisted of heating the milk to 140 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, then cooling it quickly and keeping it in a sealed, sterile container. This process, called pasteurization, is used today in various ways to keep milk free from germs. While Pasteur certainly believed in himself, he remained a quiet and humble man until his death in 1895. In his later years, he was amazed and amused by the fuss that people made over him. Louis Pasteur founded the Pasteur Institute in Paris. Today, there are 24 Pasteur Institutes around the globe that remain important centers for the study of infectious diseases and molecular genetics. Because Louis Pasteur believed in himself and found the germs that cause diseases, he changed medicine forever and benefited people all over the world. I hope you like that story. I just want you guys to know that I miss you and I'm thinking of you every day. I hope that you're using some of the websites that I sent out. There'll be more coming. Some really fun stuff out there that you can try. You can play Prodigy. You shouldn't be having play dates, but you can certainly text or call your friends and let them know you're going on Prodigy and what world you're going to so you guys can still battle from home. I want you to be reading every day, especially practicing that fluency that we've been working so hard on. I know that it's not fun, especially when you're at home, but it's super important so that when we do get to go back to school, it's a lot easier and you haven't had that slide like we like to call it. We want you to keep growing when you're home, and today is such a beautiful day. I would hope that you can get outside and play and get some fresh air and be in the sunshine, because I think the next few days are going to be pretty rainy. But send me a message and let me know what you're up to. If you need help with signing into anything, let me know, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.